Have you ever had that moment when you know the grammar, you know the words, but when you speak English, it still does not sound natural?
Yes, that happens to so many learners. You know what you want to say, but the words do not come out smoothly.
Exactly. And that is what we are talking about today.
Today's topic is one of the best speaking practice methods for English learners, the shadowing technique.
Yes, if you want to sound more natural, speak more smoothly, and feel less stuck when you open your mouth, this episode is for you.
Welcome back to Daily English Loop. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Alex.
Let's start with a simple question, Alex. Why do so many learners feel stuck when they speak, even when they have already studied a lot?
I think one big reason is this. They study English as information, but they do not always practice it as a real physical skill.
That is such an important point.
Speaking is not only about grammar in your brain. It is also about rhythm, sound, timing, and mouth movement.
Exactly. Some learners can do grammar exercises very well. They can read and understand a lot, but when it is time to speak, everything suddenly feels slow.
Right. They start thinking too much. They worry about the sentence, the tense, the pronunciation, and the word order all at once.
And then they freeze.
Exactly.
So today we are sharing a method that can help with that.
Yes, the method is called shadowing.
And for anyone hearing this word for the first time, do not worry. It is actually very simple.
Very simple, but very powerful.
So let's explain it clearly. What is shadowing?
Shadowing means listening to a native speaker and speaking at almost the same time.
Not after them.
Right, not after them, with them.
That is the big difference.
Exactly. In many classrooms, students do listen and repeat.
The teacher says a sentence, then the students wait, then they repeat it.
That can still be useful.
Yes, it can help.
But shadowing is different because there is almost no gap. You do not wait for silence. You follow the speaker closely like a shadow.
That image is perfect. A shadow follows your movement right away.
Exactly. If you move, your shadow moves. If you stop, your shadow stops.
And in shadowing, your voice follows the speaker's voice in the same way.
Yes, you try to copy the speaker's rhythm, speed, stress, and tone as closely as you can.
That sounds challenging.
It is a little challenging at first.
I think some listeners are probably thinking, wait, I have to talk while someone else is talking? That sounds impossible.
It can feel strange in the beginning.
Maybe even a little messy.
Yes, but that is normal. The goal is not to be perfect on day one.
The goal is to train your speaking system.
Exactly. So let's talk about why shadowing works so well. What makes it special?
I would say there are two big reasons. First, shadowing helps you learn the music of English.
I love that phrase, the music of English.
Because every language has its own rhythm and melody.
Yes, language is not only words, it also has movement. Some words get more stress, some sounds connect, some sentences rise and fall in a natural way.
Exactly. That is why a sentence can be grammatically correct but still sound unnatural.
Because the rhythm is missing.
Right. If a learner reads every word one by one with equal stress, the sentence may sound flat.
Almost like a robot.
Yes, But when you shadow a natural speaker, you start copying how real spoken English actually moves.
So instead of only learning the words, you learn how the words live in real speech.
That is a great way to say it. And what is the second reason?
Muscle memory.
That one surprises people sometimes.
It does, but it is true. Speaking is physical.
Your lips, your tongue, your jaw, your breath, they all matter.
Exactly. If your mouth has spent your whole life making the sounds of your first language, it needs practice making the sounds of English.
That makes so much sense. Sometimes learners think, why is pronunciation still hard? I already know the word.
But knowing a word and producing it naturally are not the same thing.
Right. Your brain may know it, but your mouth may still feel slow.
Exactly. Shadowing gives your mouth repeated practice at real speed.
So, over time, the movements become easier and more automatic.
Yes, and that helps you speak more smoothly.
I think this is one reason shadowing feels so different from silent study. It trains your whole speaking system, not only your memory.
That is exactly why it is so useful.
Okay, so now our listeners know what shadowing is and why it works. Let's make it practical. How should someone start?
I like a simple 4-step process.
Great, let's go step by step.
Step 1. Choose the right audio.
This part matters a lot.
It really does. If the audio is too fast, too difficult, or full of unknown vocabulary, shadowing becomes stressful.
And once it feels too hard, many people give up.
Exactly. So beginners should choose audio that is clear, natural, and not too fast.
And ideally, they should already understand most of it.
Yes, if you understand around 90%, that is a very good place to start.
So, what kinds of audio work well?
A clear podcast episode, a short YouTube video with subtitles, a simple interview, or even a short dialogue.
The key is clarity.
Exactly. You do not want loud background music, people talking over each other, or very dramatic acting in the beginning.
Save the dramatic acting for later.
Yes, later, when your confidence is stronger.
Okay, step 1 is clear. Choose the right audio. What is step 2?
Step 2, listen first without speaking.
Just listen?
Yes, just listen once or twice.
Why is that important?
Because before you try to copy the sound, you need to understand the general meaning and flow.
So this is like warming up your brain.
Exactly. You listen for the topic, the emotion, and the general rhythm.
Not every detail, just the overall feel.
Right. You do not need to catch every word perfectly on the first listen.
That takes some pressure off.
It does. Step 2 is about getting comfortable.
I like that. Okay, what is step 3?
Step 3, use the text.
So the transcript or subtitles.
Yes, if you have subtitles or a transcript, use them.
That helps learners connect the spoken sound to the written form.
Exactly. And this matters a lot in English because spelling and pronunciation do not always match.
Very true.
So when learners listen and read at the same time, they start to notice how real English is actually pronounced.
They may also notice linking, reduced sounds, and natural stress.
Yes, for example, a phrase like want to often sounds more like wanna in fast speech.
Or going to can sound like gonna.
Right, and shadowing helps learners hear those real patterns.
So step 3 is not about memorizing spelling, it is about matching sound and text.
Exactly.
And then comes step 4.
Yes, step 4 is the actual shadowing.
This is where the real workout begins.
It is. You play the audio, look at the text if you need it, and start speaking along with the speaker.
Not one sentence later.
No, right with them.
And what if you miss a word?
Keep going.
What if you get confused?
Keep going.
What if you make a mistake?
Still keep going.
I feel like that is the hardest part for many learners.
It probably is. Many learners want to stop and fix every little thing.
But if they stop every few seconds, they lose the rhythm.
Exactly. Shadowing is about flow first.
Not perfection first.
Right. Think of it like jogging with someone. If you stop every time your step is not perfect, you never build rhythm.
That's a great comparison.
Thank you.
So, during shadowing, learners should keep moving with the audio, even if they're not perfect.
Yes, the goal is to stay close to the speaker and keep your voice active.
That sounds much healthier than trying to control every small detail.
It is, and it also makes practice feel more natural.
Now, let's talk about a few common problems. What usually happens when beginners try shadowing for the first time?
The first problem is that they choose audio that is too hard.
Yes, then they feel lost right away.
The second problem is that they expect themselves to sound great immediately.
Which is not realistic.
Exactly. The third problem is that they practice for too long.
That is interesting. Why is that a problem?
Because shadowing takes a lot of concentration. It is intense.
So if someone tries to shadow for 20 or 30 minutes right away, they may become tired very quickly.
Exactly. Their mouth gets tired, their brain gets tired, and then the quality drops.
So what is a better length?
Start with 2 or 3 minutes.
That short?
Yes, very short is fine.
I actually like that. It makes the method feel possible.
It is possible. 2 minutes of focused shadowing is much better than 20 minutes of frustrated shadowing.
That is good advice.
Later, when learners get used to it, they can do more.
So shadowing does not need to take a huge amount of time.
Not at all. In fact, short daily practice is often the best way.
That also makes it easier to build into a routine.
Exactly. You can do 2 minutes in the morning, or while taking a break, or before bed.
Very manageable.
Another helpful tip is to use headphones.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Headphones make it easier to hear the details of the speaker's voice.
The small pronunciation details.
Yes, the breath, the stress, the connected sounds.
And they also help block outside noise.
Exactly. That creates a more focused practice space.
I think that would help a lot, especially for learners in busy environments.
Definitely.
Do you recommend recording yourself?
I do, but maybe not on day one.
Fair.
Some learners feel nervous when they hear their recorded voice.
Honestly, many people do.
Yes, but recording yourself can be very useful once you feel ready.
Because then you can compare your version with the original audio.
Exactly. You can notice where your rhythm is different, where your stress sounds unnatural, or where your pronunciation needs work.
That kind of feedback is powerful.
It really is. It helps you become more aware of your own speaking habits.
So for beginners, first get comfortable with shadowing. Then later, try recording yourself.
That is a great progression.
I think some listeners may ask this question. Should I understand every single word before I do shadowing?
No, not every single word.
That is good to hear.
You should understand most of it, but you do not need 100% understanding.
So enough to follow the meaning, but not necessarily every tiny detail.
Exactly. If you wait until everything is perfect, you may wait too long.
That is true in language learning generally.
Very true.
Another question. Should learners shadow only one speaker or many different speakers?
In the beginning, I think it helps to stay with 1 or 2 clear speakers.
So your ears get used to a stable style.
Yes, later you can try different accents, speeds, and personalities.
That sounds sensible.
I think variety is great, but not too early.
Okay, now let's make this really practical. Suppose a beginner wants to try shadowing today. What would a simple practice session look like?
Very simple. First, choose a 1-minute or 2-minute clip with clear speech.
Then listen once without speaking.
Then, listen again with the transcript or subtitles.
Then play it again and shadow the speaker.
Yes, and if you want, you can repeat the same short clip 2 or 3 times.
That sounds very doable.
It is, and after a few days, learners often start noticing changes.
What kind of changes?
Better rhythm, faster mouth movement, more confidence, less hesitation.
I think that is what many learners want most, less hesitation.
Yes, they want speaking to feel smoother.
And shadowing can help with that because it trains fast response.
Exactly. It teaches your mouth and ears to work together in real time.
That is such a useful skill.
It really is.
Let's also say something important here. Shadowing is not the only thing learners should do.
Very true.
Shadowing is a tool, not the whole system.
Exactly. Learners still need listening, vocabulary, reading, speaking, and real communication.
But shadowing is one of the best tools for improving spoken flow and natural sound.
I completely agree.
So, if someone listening feels like their English sounds correct but stiff, shadowing may be exactly what they need.
Yes, that is a great time to use it.
And if they feel shy?
Start small. Practice alone. Use a soft voice at first if you want.
Good advice.
The important thing is to begin.
Not perfectly, just begin.
Exactly.
Okay, let's do a quick recap.
Good idea.
Shadowing means speaking almost at the same time as the audio.
It helps with 2 big things: the music of English and muscle memory.
To start, choose clear and easy audio.
Then, listen first without speaking.
Then use the transcript or subtitles.
Then, shadow the speaker without stopping every time you make a mistake.
Keep the practice short, focused, and regular.
Use headphones if possible.
And record yourself later if you want deeper feedback.
Exactly.
I really like this method because it turns speaking into something active and physical.
Yes, it feels more like training than testing.
That is a wonderful distinction.
Thank you.
So, before we go, let's ask our listeners a question.
Yes. Have you ever tried shadowing before?
And if not, what kind of audio would you like to shadow first?
A podcast? A YouTube video? A short dialogue from a show?
Tell us in the comments.
And if this episode helped you, don't forget to subscribe to Daily English Loop.
Thanks for listening today.
Keep practicing,
Keep speaking.
and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye!